This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
You know, the thing that has made the last 5 years in these United States so fascinating, the thing that has made it so historic, so exciting, and so revealing, have been the number of conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. Yes, we need new conspiracy theories because the old ones came true. But it is remarkable historically when you think about just in the last 5 years, the things that we were lied to about, the things that we later learned were conspiracies, were cover-ups. I mean, just COVID alone, you have so many things about which the government, big pharma, the media lied to you. They lied to you about the origins of COVID. It's remarkable to think back that I sat here and talked about pangolins and bats in a wet market. Now we know that was all a lie orchestrated by Dr. Fauci to cover up the fact that he funded the gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute from which the virus emanated. We were lied to about masks and social distancing and school closures and so many things. And fortunately, we eventually found out the truth, and we found out just what scoundrels were leading us and advising us and mandating vaccines and shutting down businesses. That was just one story, essentially, COVID. And you weren't allowed to question authority. If you did, you found yourself banned or ostracized. How about January 6th? I vividly remember talking about it on January 7th and 8th. And if you dared question the narrative, I think I just asked if there were agitators in the crowd, because there were agitators in the crowd. Hell, there was an Antifa guy named John Sullivan who took the video of the Ashley Babbitt shooting. He was Antifa. And I asked, what the hell was he doing there? And immediately you got threats to shut you down. They were harassing our advertisers because we asked about January 6th and didn't call it the worst attack since the Civil War or the War of 1812. The narrative was out there. And if you didn't accept it, man, you were threatened. You were banned. You were silenced. The first day Joe Biden took office, the Biden people reached out to big tech, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and started demanding people be silenced. If you question Fauci, the vaccines, January 6th, you might lose your right to speak on social media. How about the Biden cover-up? I think we're in the middle of that being exposed as we speak. We know they lied about Joe Biden's condition for 4 years. We know why they did it. They did it to help Trump. They did it to try to get Biden elected the first time. They succeeded. And then they wanted to get him elected the second time, even though he was in the throes of dementia. And now we know had cancer. They covered that up. They covered it up intentionally, deliberately, diabolically. That's just the last 5 years. The damage it has done to the media, to the Democrats, to big tech is immeasurable. And I think it has changed everything in this country where we now question, at least more vigorously, any official narrative. And we wonder, are they telling us the truth now? I mean, are we ever going to look at Jake Tapper again and think, yeah, he's got some credibility? Of course not. He sold his credibility. He's a joke, just like Joe Scarborough, who said, this Joe Biden analytically, intellectually is the best Biden ever. He said that in March. And in June, Biden melted down on the debate stage. He said that even though he talked to Biden more than anyone in the media, and he knew Biden was in bad shape, and he lied to you every day, all day, 4 hours a day. Joe Scarborough and Mika and his whole crew looked in the camera and lied to you. As Joe Rogan joked in his stand-up routine, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, he believed things that he was told by the media, by the Democrats, and now he's questioning the moon landing because they have done this to themselves. They have made us question everything. So now when they tell you anything with Joe Scarborough or Jake Tapper or politician Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or Jasmine Crockett tells you anything, you say, is this another lie? The good news is they've been exposed. The good news is we all know they're lying. We know they're lying. And we go into every new breaking story with a healthy skepticism. Except one. There's one narrative that somehow has survived, and it is objectively false. For some reason, today, May 27th, 5 years and 2 days after George Floyd died of an overdose while resisting arrest, we're still talking about the murder of George Floyd. We're still honoring him as some kind of martyr. It was a remarkable thing to observe over the weekend. I don't know when this narrative is going to be completely debunked and we're going to move on as a country and we're all going to agree that the conviction of Derek Chauvin, that the murder of George Floyd was one big lie. Everything you were told, everything I was told 5 years ago turned out to be a lie. And for some reason, in this one case, in the case of George Floyd, we are still supposed to play along with the false narrative. And I do this every time the story comes up. I implore you, I beg you to take an hour at some point. I did it over the weekend, obviously on Twitter, said just watch The Fall of Minneapolis. It's a documentary made by Minneapolis journalists led by Liz Collin, who is an actual journalist, unlike the state-run media in Minnesota, unlike the Star Tribune, which play along, which continue to perpetuate the lies. But here's the thing: we can all debate, whether George Floyd deserved to die. That's always a good line. Did he deserve to die? Of course not. But he did it to himself. He had a deadly amount of fentanyl in his system. He resisted arrest over and over again. And he was a career criminal. He was a drug dealer. He'd been convicted many times. He during an armed robbery, held a gun to the belly of a pregnant woman. We know that now. And yet our media, our politicians sit there on May 25th every year and say, let's honor the life of George Floyd. Again, you could say, it's a tragedy that he died. He shouldn't have been resisting arrest. He shouldn't have been doing fentanyl. But he wasn't murdered. He died of a drug overdose. It was in the autopsy. And for some reason, we are still compelled to ignore the evidence. We're still compelled to ignore the fact that this was not a fair trial, that one person after another, including the police chief, went up on the stand and lied. You watch this documentary and you understand a couple things. A, the autopsy, the initial autopsy, throw that up there for me, Ironhead, because it's simple. You don't have to devote a lot of time to this. But if you think George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin because he put his knee on his neck, you have been lied to. Here it is. Just take a look. If you're just listening along, I'll read the key parts. Number one, the top of the line, top of the list. No life-threatening injuries were identified. There was no life-threatening injury to his throat, his neck. He didn't die of a knee on the neck. That wasn't the cause of death. Again, just look, this is one page. No facial, oral, muscular, or I don't know what that is. No injuries of anterior muscles of neck or laryngeal structures. No scalp, soft tissue, skull, or brain injuries. It goes through a whole list. There are no injuries to his neck or his throat or his head. That's not how he died. And then we get to the next section. This is page 2 of the autopsy, which they changed. Blood, drug, and novel psychoactive substances screened. Fentanyl, 11 milligrams. He had fentanyl and he had meth in his system, enough to kill him many times over. And he also tested positive for COVID. And and a deadly heart condition. He would not be dead today if he didn't resist arrest. He would not be dead today if he didn't try to pass a counterfeit bill. Um, Not only did Chauvin go to prison, all the cops went to prison. The cop whose job it was to control the crowd, he went to prison and did hard time. Now, here's what I think is going to happen in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years. We're all going to agree. Eventually, the word will get out. Eventually, this documentary will be seen by everybody, and you'll say, "Wow, that was just a lie. We were told one story. We were not told the story. This is not what happened." But it's not happening yet. Over the weekend, one congressperson after another tweeted about George Floyd, honoring his life, calling him a family man. He was not a family man. He was not raising his daughter. He had a kid in Minnesota, Minneapolis, they hadn't seen in like 20 years. Here, let's just give you a couple. Of course, my congresswoman, the just hateful Ayanna Pressley, of course, writes, George Floyd was a man before his murder sparked a movement, a father, son, fiance, and Black man who deserved to grow old. As we mark 5 years since his brutal killing, let's not forget his humanity. His humanity. Again, robbed a pregnant woman with a gun, dealt drugs for years, did hard time, did many stints for dealing cocaine. Just a really bad guy. You want to say he shouldn't have, he should be alive today? Fine, fine. But his humanity? What humanity? This was a drug addict, a career criminal. This is not a martyr. This is not someone you want to honor. There are a lot of people who die of drug overdoses. I don't think we have days of celebration. We still haven't recovered from the lies they told, the lies that led to billions in property damage that cost the lives of at least 25 people. That reckoning hasn't come. We know BLM turned out to be one big scam. Build large mansions. That's what they did with the money. BLM doesn't go into Chicago or Baltimore and show that they care about Black lives. Of course not. They've lost credibility. They've become a joke, a Marxist organization that has stolen money from well-meaning people, including many celebrities. Here's Jasmine Crockett. George Floyd should be alive today. Yes, Jazzy, we agree on that. He should be if he just didn't resist arrest, didn't do fentanyl. He should be raising his daughter, living his life. 5 years later, we owe him more than thoughts and hashtags. His daughter said, "My daddy changed the world. Let's stop failing her. Let's stop failing him." Failing him? He wasn't raising his daughter. He wasn't living his life. I guess he was living his life, doing drugs, passing counterfeit bills, robbing people at gunpoint. When is this going to end? I mean, it's been long enough. It's time. It's time we moved on from one of the biggest lies, the most destructive lie. When you think about the aftermath, 5 years ago, right now, Minneapolis was on fire. So were many other cities. There were more than 500 riots across the country after George Floyd overdosed while resisting arrest. Before they even picked the jury, the city of Minneapolis gave George Floyd's estranged family, the one he never saw, $27 million, but not just before a verdict, before they even seated a jury. The judge in this case, Peter Cahill, totally corrupt, totally biased, wouldn't allow in any of the relevant testimony about the technique that Derek Chauvin used. He said last week that BLM made the case really difficult because the jurors were intimidated. They knew if they came to the correct verdict, their lives would be in danger, and yet they didn't move the trial. It was not a fair trial by any definition. You had clowns like that Mayor Jacob Fry weeping uncontrollably at the funeral. You had Tim Walz lying day in and day out, still lying today about this, saying that that he was that the that the second autopsy, the one they changed, that's the one, the one that said he died of asphyxiation. They changed an autopsy. It should be a massive scandal what happened here. You don't have to like Derek Chauvin. Derek Chauvin, I hope, will be pardoned by Donald Trump. It won't matter because Walz and Keith Ellison and Jacob Fry and everyone in Minnesota, all the people who lied to you, are going to make sure he stays in prison on state charges. So it'll be largely ceremonial. But you know why Trump should do it? Because it's the right thing to do. Because he wasn't convicted fairly, honestly, because the man didn't murder George Floyd. And yet he's doing hard time. He's going to spend 20, 22 years in prison. He's already been shanked once. He didn't do it. That's why he should be pardoned. So should all the other cops, because they've lied to you from the top, from the governor to the mayor, police chief, the cops, the media, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. They all lied to advance this narrative, which would be fine if people weren't dying, if cities weren't burning. It's truly remarkable. I beg everyone again to watch The Fall of Minneapolis. It doesn't take long, and it'll blow your mind. The technique Derek Chauvin used is exactly what he was taught. And they'll tell you, oh, he put his knee on his neck. No, he put his knee on his shoulder, the way he was taught to do. Check this out. Is this the clip from The Fall of Minneapolis?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, this is a minute, but I think it's less than an hour. Watch the whole thing. Do yourself a favor. It will blow your mind. But here's a little snippet.
The murder of George Floyd.
Murder and manslaughter.
Murder of George Floyd.
Peaceful protest overnight in the Twin Cities.
They've been very peaceful. The crowd continues to be peaceful.
8:46, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
Actually, 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
By the way, that particular technique is not authorized by the MMPD.
Is this a trained Minneapolis Police Department technique?
It is not.
When I heard that, I really wanted to get up off my chair and yell, bullshit.
From what I've seen of the videotape, the photograph, and the police training manual, they look pretty identical.
Were you trained in MRT, the maximal restraint technique?
Yes.
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 Yes, all the police officers were trained in the MRT.
George Floyd says, I got shot last time.
I got shot the same way as officers before.
Did you shoot him?
No, I didn't shoot him. No.
You helped to train Officer Alex King. What did you think of him?
I probably trained a few thousand people. He was probably one of the top two.
Give me a minute.
Amazing. They were all taught to do what Chauvin did. Did you know that? That was the police chief, by the way, on the stand under oath, lying, as all those cops, if you're just listening along, that was about 5 cops, all saying that's exactly what they were taught. The police chief went on the stand under oath and said, no, we don't teach that. It's in the video. You could see it. It looks exactly like what Chauvin did. And you have people, I understand lots of the media people are just stupid and they're partisan and they're just dummies that go along with the narrative. But the governor, I mean, he's a disgrace, but he knows he's lying. The mayor, he knows he's lying. And the police chief, they know they're lying. And their lies cost lives, cost billions in damages. The city of Minneapolis has not recovered. If you haven't seen any video, many of the stores, the businesses, the AutoZone, that burned, they're not rebuilt. It looks like Gaza. It's still like that 5 years later because they lied to you, because they wanted to stoke the flames of racial hatred, racial division. They will be held accountable by history. I really believe it's been 5 years. That's enough. By next year at this time or 2 years, we all have to agree it's no different from Fauci's lies or Jake Tapper's lies. It's time to uncover it, tell the truth, reveal the truth, and expose these liars. Until then, I guess we just have to laugh at these people who are just hanging onto the narrative over the weekend, these Congress people who they know they're lying too. But at the WNBA game, this is remarkable. The WNBA, as much as Caitlin Clark tries to save this league, tries to put this league on the map, they just continue to take 2 steps back every time she gets attention for being just a great player, a game changer, fills the stadium, great TV ratings. The WNBA takes 2 steps back because it's so freaking woke. This was a WNBA game on Saturday I believe in Minneapolis. They do a moment of silence. Keep in mind, this was Memorial Day weekend. By the way, all those Congress people, Ayanna Pressley, Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar, who tweeted about George Floyd, they did not tweet about Memorial Day. I mean, they did not tweet about the many, many people that you would honor on this weekend. Hell, the two embassy workers in D.C. who were assassinated by a pro-Hamas fanatic. They didn't tweet about those 2 people, innocent people. No, they tweet about a career criminal who died while resisting arrest 5 years ago. They have learned nothing. Here's the pregame ceremony honoring career criminal and drug addict George Floyd before a WNBA game over the weekend. Remarkable.
Thank you guys for taking a minute to honor the life of George Floyd. George was a father, a brother, and a son. And his life, like every life, held meaning. His death exposed the holes that are still in our justice and criminal institutions today. And his 5-year anniversary reminds us that we must continue the fight against criminal, racial, and social injustices.
That's Nafisa Collier of the Minnesota, whatever they are, Lynx. I don't know. Who knows? It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark's out for a couple weeks, injured. You think a lot of people will be tuning in to the game of the week if Caitlin Clark is not playing? It's amazing. They owe everything to her, and they still hate her guts. The Mean Girls. Oh, you want to play the poem? Yes, let's do the poem. This is the Minneapolis Poet Laureate. I bet you didn't know they had one of those. It is just, this is the dumbest thing you will see today. Probably the dumbest thing you'll see all year. A Poet Laureate from Minnesota dedicates this to George Floyd. And I mean, it would be bad enough if it were like a real poem, if it rhymed. It's about his love of tobacco, as far as I can tell. George Floyd loved smoking cigarettes, which is probably not something you want to honor him for, but apparently this is poetry. I hate poetry. I don't get poetry. If this is poetry, leave me out of it. I'm not interested, but check it. I bet she gets paid too by the Minnesota taxpayers. This is her poem, her ode to St. George of Fentanyl. Go ahead.
All we really know was his last living desire was for a cigarette. In other words, a simple and neat, quick and light burn of personal tobacco. Inhale, throat heat, and exhale. For a moment, the brain pauses and buzzes. For a moment, the heart is a soft float and you belong to you. Native homies, give the offering of tobacco. Soft hands, cupped gratitude. Put a little tobacco here. Smoke of prayer for your ancestors. Their witness, their earthly nostalgia for earthly life and earthly pleasure. The more expensive it is to live, the more worthless power treats our life. Charge rent on the sky, put our access to blue behind a paywall. Give you gray when you pass due, some would never see the blue.
All right, Ironhead, you got to find out if she's getting paid. I need to know if the taxpayers in Minnesota breathe in the smoke. I mean, is that really how you want to pay tribute to a guy whose heart exploded from drugs and cigarettes in police custody? A simple request.
Unbelievable.
That's a poem by a poet laureate. Put to music. Didn't even rhyme, did it? I don't think so.
No, she's just being like, this guy was jonesing for a cigarette. That was basically it.
And that's what you cling to? That he was jonesing for a cigarette? His last act was to request a cigarette? Let's make a poem out of it. Let's do that. Oh, God, it's just laughable. We have to end it. This has to go the way of, mask mandates and Joe Biden's tip-top, best Biden ever. And January 6th was the worst day since the War of 1812. All those other lies, they've been debunked. We're done with them. Why are we clinging to this one? Time to end it. All right, we got so much more to get to. We got more lives. We got Jake Tapper on tour. I got to say, I'm enjoying this. I am enjoying this because he's going to make a fortune, but he's never going to recover. He is never going to get over this. He is a beaten, defeated, hollowed out man at this point because he knows he sold his soul, and it's great to see. He's now calling the cover-up of Biden's decline worse than Watergate. Yes, he's right about that. It is worse than Watergate, and you're like Haldeman or Ehrlichman. That's what you are. You're one of the plumbers, Jake. You're one of the architects. In Harvard, Trump has chosen his next opponent, and it's a great one. Trump is going to war with Harvard, and you'll never guess who I'm rooting for. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
If you're still tossing and turning all night and feeling edgy during the day, let me tell you about CBD from CB Distillery. Millions are turning to their CBD for relief because it works. In fact, over 90% of customers report better sleep with CBD. And it's not just sleep. CB Distillery offers targeted formulations for just about everything: sleep, stress, mood and focus, pain after exercise. I got that too. They even have CBD for pets, and it's all made from the highest quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. I've been taking it for sleep for the last couple of weeks, and it's been amazing, sleeping like a rock. With over 2 million satisfied customers and a 100% money-back guarantee, CB Distillery is the source to trust. If you're struggling with sleep, stress, or other health concerns and haven't found relief, make the change, like millions have, to CBD from CB Distillery. And for a limited time, you could save 25% off your entire purchase. Visit CB Distillery and use promo code Callahan. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code Callahan. Oh, we got to get to Macron, too. Emmanuel Macron getting bitch slapped by his grandmother. His wife. We'll get to that, too, man. That could be the most dysfunctional relationship on the world that we've ever seen. These two make the Clintons look stable, but we got to get to Trump and Harvard, too. But you know what? I can't get enough of Jake Tapper on this book tour. And I got to admit, I want to read it. I'm not going to buy it. I went to the library over the weekend, Ironhead. I went to the library, brought my little library card. They didn't have it. It was out of stock, or it had been taken out. But I'm going to keep trying. I'm thinking about shoplifting. Maybe I'll go to the beach when people start going, and I'll find somebody who's in the water, and I'll steal their book because this book is going to sell.
I think if you buy it, everyone will forgive you because we got to talk. About it. Yes.
I've had a couple people who have offered to lend it to me after they finish reading it. So I'll get my hands on it, and I'm looking forward to it. There's one thing that'll drive me crazy is they talk to 200 people. They brag about 200 people, mostly Democrats, who told them, that Biden was senile, which hit Jake like a ton of bricks. What? Biden was senile? Wow, that is a bombshell. As the rest of us watched him decline in real time for 4 years, Jake's just catching up. He's just finding this out. But here's the most remarkable thing. 200 people, I think very few, if any, were on the record. So they did all this research, all this work, and they didn't get anybody to go on the record and tell them what they saw, what they experienced in the White House, tell them just how bad it was, tell them that Joe Biden was not running the country. That is really the story. That is why it is indeed worse than Watergate. At least Nixon was cogent. Joe Biden was not. And many, many world-changing events happened over the last 4 years. The withdrawal from Afghanistan that got lots of people, including 13 service members, killed. That happened while the president was senile. The pardons, more than 1,200 pardons, were signed by the auto pen. Who made that call? We need to know this. James Comer, House Oversight Committee, saying he is going to begin bringing people in. He's going to bring the Politburo, which is what Jake calls the men, the people who are running the country. He's going to bring them in for questioning. That will be good because they'll be under oath. And maybe we will find out just how bad this was. We knew for 4 years. We talked about it every day. Ironhead showed you the video every day. Hell, we had a segment where we would play Biden's gaffes on a daily basis. We all knew it was obvious to the country, but Jake Tapper, that hard-hitting journalist, just didn't know. He is lying to the country every day on this book tour, doing a lot of interviews. Every single one of them begins and ends with a big lie from this fraud. He said he should have done a better job of covering it. Yes, he's been humbled. He said Laura Trump was right when she said Joe Biden was senile. He was wrong when he admonished her, scolded her, and didn't consider kids with stutters that might hurt them. That was all a lie. He knew it wasn't a stutter. Of course he knew. He knew Biden was in cognitive decline. He saw it every day. He lied to you. He took part in the cover-up. He will not come clean on that. He never will. And he will cash in. He will make a lot of money because this book is selling. I just checked. It's number 3 on the Amazon list. It's going to be number 1. And he and his co-author, Alex Thompson, will make a lot of money. But of all the lies he tells, the biggest one is obvious. It just slipped by me. You know, the White House lied to me. Again, the White House's job was to lie to you. That was Karine Jean-Pierre's job, Jake, to lie to you. Your job was to push back. Your job was to expose the lies. And he didn't do it. Why didn't he do it? Because he's a partisan hack. Because he, like everyone else in the mainstream media, wanted Biden to win. More accurately, they wanted Trump to lose. They didn't care if it was Joe or Kamala or anybody else. Their goal every day when they showed up at work and put their makeup on was to stop Trump. That's it. Until he admits that. He says other people. That's what other people wanted. Other people thought Trump was an existential threat. Not me. I'm just a journalist, and they fooled me. Well, that's pretty embarrassing. If you got fooled by Karine Jean-Pierre and Jill Biden, if Jen Psaki fooled you, then you're too dumb to be in this position. If they didn't fool you, if you just lied, then you're too dishonest to be in this. You're too partisan to be in this position. Either way, Jake loses. He makes a lot of money, but he loses all credibility. And he's one who tries to pretend, who presents himself as a journalist. That ain't going to fly anymore. We have seen it. We've heard it. He does all these interviews, and one thing doesn't change, is that we know he saw the same things we did. That was his job. Show the video, the cheap fakes, they called them. And Jake took a side. He took the side of Biden in the White House because he, like all of them, was invested in one thing, stopping Trump. Here's Jake over the weekend talking about, journalism, which is what he claims to do. Go ahead.
And I think that we need to be skeptical of everything that we are told by people in power. And I mean, that obviously should be the mantra of being a journalist to begin with. If your mother tells you she loves you, get a second source. Right. But we just need to remember that, like, politicians lie, White Houses lie, power is an aphrodisiac. And we just need to all remember that and not take at face value anything that we're told.
There it is. He admits it. White Houses lie. Yeah, they lied to you. Why didn't you know that? Or better question, why did you lie for them? You know they were lying. You're not a moron. You're a snake, but you're not a moron. Of course you knew they were lying. You saw Biden wander into the rainforest. You saw him wander off in France at the D-Day celebration. You saw him shaking hands with ghosts and calling out dead people. You saw all that, and you thought your job was to cover it up and now you're exposing the cover-up that you were involved in. It is a fascinating thing to watch, and watching him spiral out of control just to become just an empty shell, a sad venal vessel, just trying to cash in. Here's the pivot, though. Are you ready for the pivot? They should have done a better job questioning the president's health, right? They're admitting that. All the journalists, quote unquote, all the journalists are admitting now they made a mistake. They didn't question the president's health. So now what is Jake promising to do? Question the president's health. Isn't that convenient? Now they're going to say, get ready. Get ready for the next 3.5 years of them saying, Donald Trump, he's almost 79. He's 79 soon. That's old. Second oldest president. Oh, he flubbed something. Oh, he misspoke. He got a name wrong. Oh, let's call out the White House doctor. We never did that. We never even saw the White House doctor, that little weird troll, Kevin O'Connor, who covered up Biden's cancer. But now we need to hear from, let's call doctors. Let's call, Sanjay Gupta and Peter Cortez and these TV doctors and get them to ask. Let's ask them, don't most 79-year-olds have problems remembering? Ooh, we got to question this. We have to question authority. That's what Jake said. Here's Jasmine Crockett over the weekend saying that's exactly what they're going to do. Question the president's health. Isn't that great?
It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. People try to talk about the mental acuity of Joe Biden. And as someone who was able to interact with him, I never questioned his mental acuity.
They have no shame. Same woman now wants to question the president's mental acuity. 6 months ago, 120 days ago, we had a vegetable in the White House, incapable of performing the duties of the president. And she said, I interacted with him. He was great, tip top. They're all just such liars. They're just such despicable liars. Speaking of lies, want to get to Macron? Let's get to Macron. If you weren't paying attention over the weekend, if you were enjoying your Memorial Day weekend, this video went viral, and man, it is wild. It is Emmanuel Macron landing in Vietnam for a diplomatic trip, and just as he's getting off the plane, there it is, smacked in the face by his wife. Now, we know this relationship is weird, to be kind. If you don't know, he's 25 years younger than she is. He was 15 when they met. She was 40. She had an 18-year-old kid. That's when she started grooming him. That is unbelievable. What if that were the other way around? It would end his career. It would end, he'd be done. But she smacks him in the face, and the first thing they said is, it didn't happen. Oh, let's see if I can get that. Let me see. This is from The Blaze. Video went viral Monday, appearing to show 72-year-old Brigitte Macron manhandling her former student and now husband, French President Emmanuel Macron, just before they deplaned in Hanoi. The president's office initially denied the video's authenticity. I love when they do that. Oh, no, it's a cheap fake. Jake Tapper's buying it. He's a liberal, right? Oh, yeah, good. It's a cheap fake. It's not real. And then they said that it was playful. Let me get the quote. They were just playing. Here's the description. In the video, it captures the 47. He's 47. She's 72. I'm sorry. I said this about Belichick and Jordan Hudson. Belichick's 49 years older. He's only 25 years younger, but you can't have a normal, healthy relationship. It just isn't possible for a 47-year-old guy and a 72-year-old woman. It's just biologically, it can't work. They're on different stages of life. She's an elderly woman. Anyway, Macron's office initially denied the authenticity, but when it became clear that denial was a losing strategy, Macron told reporters that the altercation was all in fun. Quote, my wife and I were squabbling. We were rather joking, and I was taken by surprise, said Macron, adding that the physicality was overblown and it has now become, quote, a kind of planetary catastrophe. He suggested that this was the latest of a number of videos that have been misinterpreted online. He referred to that video where they were on the train and he had a little bag that looked like could be cocaine, but it turned out to be a napkin. That blew over. That was you had plausible deniability. How do you deny this one? She smacked him in the face. That is an unhealthy relationship right there. I don't care that he's whatever, a world leader, a president. Here he is. And I'm not ready to go where Candace Owen has gone and others. Candace Owen says she's a man. She's male. And she put up something like $100,000 if they could prove her wrong. I think she put up that kind of money. She is all in. And she has pictures of Bridget when she was younger, and it appears that it's a guy, but I don't think too many other people have gone there because, love is love. And so what if she's a man? I guess it would make it worse, though, if she's a man and she smacked him in the face. But that is one screwed up relationship. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible for a 72-year-old woman and a 47-year-old man to live a happy, healthy relationship. What a screwed up situation. All right, spring is screwed up. Trump, once again, here's how it works with Trump. He says something that sounds crazy. You go, wow, that's not going to work. And that's a little extreme. And then you think about it. You say, wow, he put more thought into this than I initially thought. So Trump is going to war with Harvard. And here's my question is, who's going to take Harvard's side? Obviously, the media will take Harvard's side, and, the TV lawyers and the media, the Democrats will take Harvard's side. But if you think about like how this plays around the country, how this plays to his base, why wouldn't you want him taking on Harvard? He pointed out yesterday, and I think this was just him being a little trollish, saying he's going to take $3 billion, considering taking $3 billion from Harvard and giving it to trade schools around the country. Who would have a problem with that? Again, they'll tell you, the Harvard people say, oh, that'll cost incredible, important medical research. We'll lose that. You have $53 billion of an endowment. You have money. You have an amazing revenue stream. You have all these foreign students. I believe there are 6,800 foreign students. Trump wants to know who they are. He wants to keep the agitators out. He wants to keep the pro-Hamas people out of this country. Harvard is refusing to turn over the information. Who wants to take Harvard's side in that? You wouldn't like to know? We are giving them money. That string, there are strings attached to that money. If you're letting in jihadists, we would like to know. We would like to stop that. We've seen the damage they've done on campus. Hell, we've seen them twist the minds of psychos like Elias Gonzalez, who assassinated 2 innocent Jewish people in D.C. the other day. Wouldn't we like to know if that's going to happen again? Wouldn't we like to know who's out there, who's roiling these mobs on college campuses? Trump, it was blocked, of course, by a Boston judge, Allison Burroughs, who looks exactly like you'd expect. Another awful, affluent white female who went to Middlebury and was appointed by Obama, I believe, and she stopped them. But even if they stop him, what's the downside of Trump going to war with Harvard? Here's all you need to know. Harvard could prevent this. They could get all the money they've always gotten, the billions in taxpayer money that goes to this hedge fund with dorms. All they have to do is do something about anti-Semitism. All they have to do is stop basing their admissions on race, which is illegal. So Trump puts the onus on them. Harvard, here's all you have to do. Protect Jewish kids and stop discriminating against white and Asian kids. That's all. This problem's over. You got all the money flowing in, all the billions. They don't want to. Trump just canceled all contracts, canceled a bunch of contracts with Harvard worth $100 million. That wouldn't happen if they didn't base their admissions on race, if they didn't discriminate against people based on race, if they didn't allow these anti-Semites to run wild on their campus, that wouldn't happen. So you want all that federal money? Fine. Just stop being racist. That's all Trump has to say. Do we have Trump talking about this? Because it was, again, one of those deals where you go, wow, that's pretty extreme, but think about it. Why is this happening? Because they have racist policies, because they don't protect Jewish kids on campus. And they are encouraging these anti-Semites, these pro-Hamas agitators. The reason this hurts Harvard is because it's a massive revenue stream. All these foreign students, these 7,000 foreign students, pay full freight, $86,000 a year. They mostly come from rich families in China and in Saudi Arabia. If they can't admit them, they lose billions. And Harvard is all about the money. They don't want to lose the money. Oh, they don't want to, treat kids fairly. They don't want to have they want to continue to base their decisions on race, but they need that money, and Trump is threatening this revenue stream. Here he is.
Part of the problem with Harvard is that there are about 31%, almost 31% of foreigners coming to Harvard. We give them billions of dollars, which is ridiculous. We do grants, which we're probably not going to be doing much grants anymore to Harvard. But they're 31%, but they refuse to tell us who the people are. We want to know who the people. Now, a lot of the foreign students we wouldn't have a problem with. I'm not going to have a problem with foreign students, but it shouldn't be 31%. It's too much, because we have Americans that want to go there and to other places, and they can't go there because you have 31% foreign. Now, no foreign government contributes money to Harvard. We do. So why are they doing so many? Number one. Number two, we want a list of those foreign students, and we'll find out whether or not they're okay. Many will be okay, I assume. And I assume with Harvard, many will be bad. And then the other thing is they're very anti-Semitic. Everybody knows they're anti-Semitic, and that's got to stop immediately.
He puts the onus on his opponents. Again, he stakes out the common sense position. That's what he does. And sometimes he does it eloquently, and sometimes he does it clumsily, but he stakes out the common sense position. Stop being anti-Semitic. You want money from taxpayers? Stop discriminating against white kids and Asian kids. Simple. Your turn. Your call. You make the call. All right. We got to wrap it. Oh, I want to get to another hypocrite serving in Congress, Catherine Clark. What do you hear how Catherine Clark, Congresswoman, radical, lunatic, the most powerful woman in Congress, she's really good at one thing. Not a very good Congresswoman, not exactly moving the needle in terms of legislation, but man, can she play the market. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Life is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. But here's one thing you can control: making sure your loved ones are protected if the unexpected happens. At EasyPlans.com, we make getting life insurance, well, easy. In just a few minutes, you can apply online and buy direct. No awkward phone calls, no confusing jargon, and no agent will contact you unless you request help. Just clear, affordable coverage, designed to fit your life and your budget. Fast approval, flexible plans, and unlike other online insurance sites, Easy Plans won't sell your information to others. So no endless phone calls and text messages. Whether you're just starting a family, buying a home, or thinking ahead, EasyPlans.com has you covered. EasyPlans.com. We make buying life insurance, well, easy.
You know, this is why why Twitter, why Musk is just so important, so heroic. This is something you just wouldn't find out if it weren't for X. Catherine Clark, as I said, she's just this loathsome congresswoman. The gray-haired, she fits the profile of a Trump hater, gray-haired old lady who just hates Trump. She has a violent transgender kid who was arrested for assaulting a cop in Boston, and she ignores the illegal alien problem she has in her own neighborhood. Literally in her neighborhood, we have illegal aliens who are committing violent crimes, and she's fighting to keep them there because she doesn't actually live in her district. She's a DC resident, I'm guessing most of the time. But anyway, she tweets out over the weekend. This was yesterday. Catherine Clark tweets, Trump is using the White House to grow richer by the day. As he lines his pockets, he expects Americans to get by with less. He's motivated by one thing, greed. Now, you can criticize Trump for a lot of things. This drives me nuts, greed. Trump has lost more than $1 billion while serving as president. He's lost businesses. He doesn't take a salary. Now, I know that it drives him nuts when he does the meme coin thing or sells watches, but he would be much, much richer if he never ran for office. He'd be much, much more popular. Hell, if he still did The Apprentice, he would be much better off. So you can criticize him for lots of things, but I really don't think he's in it for the money, lady. So on Twitter, Bad Hombre points out, check this out, Catherine Clark, Congresswoman, making $200,000 a year. Congresswoman Catherine Clark's net worth when she took office was less than $1 million. That's 12 years ago. Today, her net worth is $12.4 million, making her the 74th richest person in Congress. Just last month, she made $458,000 trading stocks. As a member of Congress, she has access to insider info. And now we know about Nancy Pelosi. We know about a number of people who in Congress who have made a fortune. Catherine Clark, this, fighter for the little people, this radical liberal, almost Bernie-ish, had made almost $500,000 in the stock market last month. And we wonder, why will they not enact that legislation to stop insider trading? Because they're getting rich. Why do they want to stop Musk? Because they're getting rich. If you looked into this woman, I guarantee you, she has lots of interests in the things that Musk is attempting to eliminate, or Doge, now that Musk has stepped back. But you think the Boston Globe will ask her about this? You think they will ask her, how did you do so well in the market, lady? How did you get so rich, making $180,000, $200,000 a year? They're just so corrupt. And it's not just Democrats. I know lots of Republicans, they want to continue trading stock too, because they're really good at it. It's not just Nancy. All right, we got to leave it there on this crazy Tuesday. It's going to be a wild week, Ironhead. I could feel it. I could feel stuff is happening. Dan Bongino is hinting, Kash Patel is hinting that they're investigating. Arrests are coming soon. I'm not ready to kick those guys to the side of the road. They're going to do something soon. I can feel it. Just wait. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you
Wow.
all. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous.